Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're going to be looking at parental burnout.
Oh, yeah.
Something I think a lot of us can relate to, at least a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
And we've got this
Sure.
really interesting research paper.
Interesting.
It's focusing on mothers in China.
Okay.
And it's really about how the good stuff you get from work can actually help buffer against that burnout.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Like, imagine that
Yeah.
work being a source of support for your parenting.
It is interesting, isn't it?
Right.
And to be clear about what we're talking about here,
Yeah.
the study talks about parental burnout as
Okay.
feeling emotionally wiped out,
Yeah.
distant from your kids and kind of stuck comparing yourself to some idealized past version of,
Right.
perfect parent.
Like, we should have been doing this all along.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it can go way beyond just daily stress and have some serious consequences
Well,
for families.
It really does paint a stark picture,
It does.
doesn't it? The study connects it to some really heavy stuff, like thoughts of escape, even suicidal ideation,
Right.
addiction issues.
Yeah.
Sadly, it can even lead to
Sadly, yeah.
neglect or violence towards children.
Yeah.
So we're talking about something with a real ripple effect here.
Exactly, and that's where this research gets interesting.
Okay.
It uses the balance between risks and resources theory,
Okay.
or BR2 for short,
Okay, BR2.
to explain how this imbalance happens.
I know.
Essentially, the demands of parenting are outweighing the resources you have to cope.
Okay, so let's break down this BR2 theory a little bit.
Okay.
What kind of things are we talking about when you say risks and resources?
On the risk side, you've got things like that pressure to be the perfect parent.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think so many of us feel these days.
For sure.
Then there's the lack of support from a partner. Or maybe not having great coping mechanisms for when things get rough.
So internal and external pressures kind of all building up.
Exactly.
But then what can parents do
Right.
to tip the scales back in their favor?
Oh.
What are some of the resources they can tap into?
External support is huge.
Okay.
Having friends, family, even professional help to lean on.
Yeah.
Then there are things like having a parenting approach you feel good about.
Yeah.
That sense of competence and positive co-parenting where you're working as a team.
So building a strong foundation, both personally and within the family unit.
Yeah.
But now here's where this research goes, in a direction I wasn't expecting.
Okay.
It says, hey, what about your workplace?
Interesting.
Can that actually be a source of strength
Yeah.
for parents too?
And that's the unique angle here.
Right.
They're exploring work-family enrichment,
Okay.
or WFE.
WFE, got it.
The idea that positive things at work can spill over and benefit your family life as well.
Like literally benefit.
Not just in a vague,
Maybe.
happy parent, happy family way,
Yeah.
but with concrete impacts.
So it's not just about leaving work stress at the office.
Yeah.
It's about bringing positive energy back home.
Exactly.
I'm really curious to hear
Yeah.
how they found that playing out in the study.
They give some really interesting examples, like how better financial support from your job can ease that stress at home,
Right.
which we know can bleed into how we parent,
Of course.
or how feeling respected and valued at work
Yeah,
can put you in a better mood,
makes sense.
making you a more patient and present parent.
Makes you wonder if you're feeling good at work.
It does.
Does that set off a positive chain reaction?
That's a great point.
You're a better parent.
That's what they found,
Right,
this negative association between WFE and parental burnout. In the mothers they studied, simply put, the more enrichment these women got from their jobs, the less likely they were to experience that severe burnout.
That is fascinating.
It is.
But how does that actually work?
Yeah.
What's the mechanism behind this link between work and parenting?
They dug a bit deeper
Okay.
and found two key factors.
Okay, what are they?
Parenting sense of competence
Okay.
and parenting stress.
Got it. Let's unpack those.
Yeah.
What exactly do those mean?
Parenting sense of competence is that feeling of, I can handle this.
Okay.
I'm a capable parent.
Right.
And parenting stress, well, that one's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
The stress that comes with the territory of raising kids.
Right. Those definitely feel like
Yeah,
two sides of the same coin.
they do.
So how does WFE fit into all of this?
Right.
How does it impact those two factors?
Yeah.
Sense of competence and parenting stress.
The study suggests that WFE can boost your sense of competence, like when you feel successful at work
Okay.
and valued, you're more likely to feel capable in other parts of your life too.
Right.
Like parenting.
It spills over.
Exactly. And that can help buffer against feeling overwhelmed and burnt out.
So it's like that confidence from one area.
Yeah.
You're tackling challenges at work, and you feel like you can handle the challenges at home too.
Exactly. And it works on the stress side as well.
Okay, how so?
Imagine this, you're financially stable because of a good job.
Okay.
Or maybe you come home in a better mood.
Yeah.
Because of a positive day at work.
Yeah.
Those things can make a world of difference.
Right.
In how you handle the ups and downs of parenting.
Less stress overall could lead to less burnout, specifically as a parent.
Yeah.
It really starts to paint a picture of how interconnected
It does.
all these different parts of our lives can be.
Yeah, for sure.
But I have to admit, this whole idea of work, being a positive force in parenting, almost feels counterintuitive.
Right.
Isn't work usually seen as the source of stress?
It can be, for sure.
The thing that makes it harder to be the parent you want to be.
You're absolutely right.
Right.
Work can definitely be a major stressor.
Okay.
And this research isn't saying to ignore those challenges.
Right.
But it does offer this new perspective.
Okay.
It's a reminder that work can also be a place where you gain strength and support that can actually help you as a parent.
So it's not about pretending work is always sunshine and roses.
Right.
It's about recognizing that the positive experiences at work can ripple out.
I think that's a great way to put it.
And have a real tangible impact on your parenting.
Now, it's important to point out, this study did have some limitations.
Of course.
Yeah.
What were some of those?
For one, they focused specifically on mothers in China.
Okay. So we have to be cautious.
Right.
About assuming these results apply everywhere.
Exactly. Cultural norms and expectations around work and family
Totally, yeah.
can vary so much from place to place.
Of course.
What works in one culture might not translate directly to another.
Right, exactly. And I imagine there are other limitations too.
They also had a lot of participants dropping out of the study over time.
Okay.
Partly because the data was collected online during the pandemic.
Right, makes sense.
Which always adds another layer of complexity.
So while this study offers some really interesting food for thought, it's not the final word on the subject.
Right.
It highlights how much more there is to learn.
It does.
About this interplay of work and family life.
Absolutely. But even with those limitations, I think the core takeaway here is really powerful.
Okay, what is that?
Even in a world where work can be so demanding, those positive experiences at work can make you a better, less burned out parent.
So it really is about, we talked about those connections earlier.
It is.
It's about recognizing that all these different areas of our lives influence each other and finding ways to build on the positive connections.
I completely agree, and it makes you wonder.
What's that?
What would it look like if workplaces were more intentionally designed?
Interesting.
To promote that kind of work-family enrichment?
Like, what if companies were really thinking about this?
Could we see a shift in company policies or benefits?
Wow.
To better support working parents, ultimately benefiting everyone?
That's a fantastic question, and thinking about those potential shifts.
Yeah.
It also makes me curious about the other side of the parenting coin.
Okay.
This study focused on mothers, but what about fathers?
It's a great point.
Do they experience similar benefits from WFE? Or do they face unique challenges at work that might impact their experience of burnout?
I think there's so much more research to be done
for sure.
on how these dynamics play out for fathers and for different family structures beyond the traditional nuclear family.
Absolutely. And for everyone listening, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Have you noticed any connections between your work life and your parenting experience?
Have those positive vibes from work ever spilled over and given you a boost as a parent?
Right. Or conversely, has work stress ever left you feeling depleted and less able to show up for your kids?
What's your experience with this interplay between work and family?
Yeah.
What strategies have you found helpful in navigating these challenges?
Because at the end of the day, this is about finding ways to thrive.
It is.
Both as parents and as individuals.
Yeah.
And sometimes, surprisingly, those two things can actually complement each other.
It reminds us that even though parenting is incredibly demanding, it's also deeply rewarding.
It is.
And seeking out those resources and support from our partners, families, communities, and yes, even our workplaces.
I love that.
Can make the journey feel a little brighter.
Seeking out the brightness along the way. So to all the parents out there, keep searching for those resources.
Keep leaning on that support.
Keep leaning on that support and know that you're not alone on this journey.
We're all in this together.
We're all in this together, figuring out this incredible, challenging, and often messy thing called parenting one day at a time. And maybe, just maybe a little boost from an unexpected place, like our jobs, can make all the difference.
Yeah, it's about keeping those lines of communication open, at work and at home. And remembering that we're all juggling a lot.
So true. Well, thanks for diving into this research with us today.
Of course.
It's given us a lot to think about.
It has. And to everyone listening, until next time, keep searching for those pockets of enrichment, in your life. Let's all try to make this parenting journey a little less burning and a lot more bright.
I love that, less burning, more bright. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.